Good afternoon, Chido. How you doing?
What's up? What's up?
Can you just start by talking about the memorial service today and as good as it is to be there for families, is there still some frustration at these times that you can't be there physically in person to kind of comfort the family?
Um, well, I think we all wanted to respect the family space and how they want to grieve. You know, we're all grieving in our own way. But the service was tremendous. All of us, you know, really got close with Coach Marcus, especially when he took the head job for Coach Wasick. And, you know, the weight room was always a place where it was just brotherhood, you know, love. He always held you to a certain standard. And, you know, that's one thing about Coach Marcus is that he always stayed true. You know, he wasn't going to switch up for anybody. He's going to hold everybody to that same standard. So um, when you talk about a guy just doing things right, I think he was a perfect example for it. And I think that's why it's hurting us, a lot of us, so much. But you never know when time, God, you know, allows you on this earth. You know, you got to doing what Coach Marcus did, and that was, you know, being servant, um, definitely preaching God's word, and then obviously impacting in every place that he stepped in. So, no, it was a tremendous service.
There were a number of speakers at the service. Was anything that was said did it stick with you the most if you look back on the service?
You know, a lot of things. You know, definitely, I think I want to make a private matter public, but I think for the most part, everybody said the same thing about Coach Marcus, whether it be his college roommate, teammate, people that he met in the church, his family, um, all the tributes that his family and friends made for him. You know, it was all resonating with us because we knew the same Coach Marcus, and again, he just stayed true. And yeah, man, that's a man that we're gonna look up to and you know try to lead by the example that he set.
Did you guys watch the service in your position groups, or were you able to watch it all together?
No, we watched it as a team. Coach McCarthy allowed us the meeting space to and the room to watch the service. So we were all obviously socially distanced, contact tracers, masks, everything, but we're all able to watch it together.
Do you feel like that was needed for you guys as a group? I know it was very sudden last week where, it happens on Tuesday morning, he officially passes on a Wednesday, and on Thursday you guys are playing a game. Do you feel like it was needed just to take this time to reflect and be part of the memorial service from afar?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we all just, like I said, we all grieve in our own way. We all reflect in our own way, and some of us, you know, we may have, you know, grieved that day, then kind of like hid those emotions because you know we have families to get back to, we have jobs to get back to, so it just allowed us another space to really just open up our hearts and open up our minds to reflect on the life of Coach Marcus.
Did y'all have more of a discussion before or after the service, or was today mostly the virtual service, given that you spoke as a team about Coach Marcus on Wednesday night last week?
Um, yeah, last week, you know, it was an open floor. This time it was more so just watching and receiving, really, the good news of Coach Marcus, you know, the testimonies that everybody had. And then after that, you know, we went about today like a regular football day.
Cheeto, on that note of football, what was it like watching the Ravens-Steelers game as a position group yesterday, and how different was it from a typical film study?
It was interesting. You know, a lot of us usually don't watch the TV copies or aren't able to unless like you're hurt or something or a team plays on a Thursday or a weird day. So it was good that we all got to watch it together. Um, Obviously, their situation during that game, they didn't have all their players because of coronavirus or, you know, the contact tracing, whatever. But it was good to see them, you know, as a team. And I think we're all seeing the same things that we watched on film.
Anything else for Cheeto? No? All right.
Cheeto, when you look at the fourth quarter against Washington last week, where do you think were some of the key places the defense broke down, and how can you avoid that against Baltimore?
I think, sudden change opportunities, that's a time where, the offense, the team relies on their defense, to stand up and stand tall. And we had a couple of those opportunities, and some of them we stood up and stood tall, and some of them we broke down. So I think just, mastering the situational side of football, when sudden change happens, being on our P's and Q's, making sure we communicate. And that first play after sudden change is usually an opportunity for the offense to create a big play. So I think just the sudden change opportunities we could have been better on.
There have been some DBs who have seen some playing time this season who weren't part of the team during training camp. Rashard Robinson being one of them. How do you feel he's kind of come into the fold despite not being there over the summer and off season?
Well, Rashard Robinson, he a vet. That's one thing about him. He a vet and he a dog. He brings a certain type of energy to where it's infectious. It's just that savage mentality. And sometimes you don't feel it from a corner. He on the edge. He has to play man coverage. We don't really get the opportunity to hit somebody or do things like that. But I'll tell you what, it's one thing about Rashard that he always show up, and you're gonna feel his energy no matter where he at on the field. So, we love Rashard and how he playing.
It seems like
you had two new
Go ahead.
But you had two new DB coaches this year. How have those communications with those two coaches grown over the course of the season?
Well, obviously this year was different. We didn't get no spring. We didn't get to meet in person in the off season. So all the stuff that we did initially was online and virtually. So it was definitely a learning curve just because of that. But then once we got in person, they're great coaches. They definitely have stayed within the scheme of what they were saying in the summer, and some of the changes that we've seen, they predicted that we would see them. So they kept us prepared for everything, and it's been a great transition from virtual to actually meeting them, and then this season, a lot of the stuff that they're teaching, is holding up on Sundays.
What are some examples of changes they predicted in the summer that you're now seeing?
Well, when you start to install new coverages, there might be a certain way you play something. It might be like a high school level type of, rule, or camp rule. We'll call it camp rule. And then once the season starts, changes start to happen, and then you start to get more comfortable in the defense, and the defense kind of upgrades or transforms into something better where you're able to communicate a check or something like that. And those are kind of things that they let us know that when we get going, it'll definitely happen, and it has happened for the most part.
Real quick, to go back to Rashard, it seems like a real credit to him just to hear the way that you've come to respect him and his playing style. How did he go about engendering that respect from you and from other guys in the room? What about Rashard has kind of endeared himself to you?
I think when he first came, he just I knew him from San Francisco because he played at 49ers with some of my friends over there, and he came and just injected himself in a role where he was giving his insight immediately. He played this game. He's been, I think it's his fourth year. So he has things to say. And, he said those things right away, and then slowly started to build friendships off the field. And then he got hurt with a hamstring. And then as he battled back, he's just a worker. Like, everything he does is with an intention, you could tell. And I think that's what made me really respect him.
On one of the recent TV broadcasts, I think it was actually during the Ravens game, the announcers talked about how you guys have to stay even farther away now in the locker room. There has to be a lot more social distancing than even before. And just how much different is it in the locker room this year than in previous seasons?
Well, obviously it's different. They have plexiglass in between everybody's locker. Every sink the next sink is not working, or the next toilet's not working. Like, everything's in the locker room to the training room, everything's just separated. So we still have definitely a connection with each other. We definitely have built a culture in the locker room, but it's just different.
For you and Mari, going to have to get to the point where you have two chessboards you're making moves on?
Nah, we started playing online, so we good. Yeah.
Appreciate it.